Alright. Today's the day we finally enter. Oh, that is definitely not the right title. The Dark Forest update. Alright. Head into the Dark Forest today. Don't remember what's the last thing we did. Let's take a look. Think we stabilize the food. Yes. I don't know if we're gonna have to build a new base in the Dark Forest. But we have our army here. I don't know how many people we can take into the portal either. Got tools, dust. All these peeps are equipped. Bring it over here. Right. Right? And now we wait for... Oh, yeah, we still got that rabbit thing, huh? Guess we'll grab it later. The question is, do we all in with these characters? We should just take one person in, just in case something terrible happens. Alright, so I guess we're just speeding. To find a portal. And we're gonna throw one person in just to be safe. Really, dude? Okay. Alright. I don't remember how often those portals show up. So we're going to just chill. It might be on every 4 or 6. If it shows up now, it's every 4. Okay. Alright. So we start the new moon. And we're gonna throw a ninja in here. Is that how that works? Oh yeah, entering the portal. Alright. So we're gonna use a ninja scout, right? Yep. Let's go. Alright. The Dark Forest. An old lady appears. Alright. Good day to you, traveler. Now she's closer. She does not look like an old lady at all. Oh, the Wicked Witch. Alright. So you've come to seek revenge, but you'll never defeat me. Wait. Oh, do you just straight up get ready to do battle? Oh, is the portal just... Okay, well, at least I know what it is now. Although, rip ninja though. So you get magic dust. You still get resources from this stuff. You beat my minions, but I have plenty more. Do you want to... Oh, okay. Alright, so we can just bail too. And then you collect your earnings. And then the portal's gone. Oh, and you get a new ID. Stable portal. I see. A permanent portal to Dark Moon can move 7. Okay, so we can move 7 cards. Alright, well that's cool. So let's make a dark portal. Or say stable portal. 2 bricks. 2 bricks, 2 magic dust. Where are me bricks? Oh, there it is. Stable portal. And we need a constructor. Okay. Nice. Not too shabby. We got stuff to do now. We do need to find Rabbit. Because we need to do this little side quest thingy. Build a stable. This thing. A rabbit hat. I am... Maybe there's like a mean rabbit? Mama rabbit? I need to find rabbits though first. Elusive rabbits. Oh, there is a maximum stack. Where's the brickyard at? Okay. Rat. Pretty sure rabbits are on the list. Another rat. Oops. Did that just do what I thought it did? Oh my gosh. I sold the chest filled with coins. There wasn't too many coins in there. I need to get a hold of a rabbit. I need 2 rabbits. Alright. Okay. So we got the portal. How many units do I have? I have way more than 7. What does this guy have? I think the 7's good when we leave. Alright. Well, let's see how far they get. Into the portal we go. Yep. Okay, so you're back for more. You will never defeat me. Alright, let's go. Enchanted shroom. How's this not a new unit? Huh. Update's looking good? Yeah, update's looking good, man. You watch someone play Stacklands? Intriguing. Alright. Alright. Yeah, plenty more? Yeah, let's go. Oh, it starts from the wave you left off. So you don't have to do all the waves at once. A ghost. I haven't seen a ghost before. Alright. Sure. Let's keep going. Everyone seems pretty healthy. An orc wizard. Interesting. Combat 23. An ogre. Combat 30. Have bleed. Alright. Get stun locked, buddy. Got more. Alright. Nothing too concerning. Oh, there are a lot of them though. That's a little concerning. Not too bad. Alright. So I got more waves? Alright, 6. No, still not that concerning. A few of the units are a little unhealthy, but... the heal procs are going off, though. Ooh, one of the mages are a little... we got a low mage and a low ninja. One low ninja. You still have more. I wonder if I can disengage. I don't think I can micro this. We'll go one more. Okay. Thing new. Just concerned about one of the ninjas, but that's okay. That was a quick takedown though. Quick focus fire. No heal proc. Ooh, that ninja. Hold! Yeah, we'll do some recovery after this. Uh-oh. Not like this! Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare. Alright. Alright, let's peace. Okay. Alright, that was pretty alright. Lot of Staff of Fear. Level 2. 20 to stun a random. Level 2 item though. What was that you? Did I just magic tome all of them? Person magic tome too? You know what? The magic ring is meh. Staff of fear. I wonder how high the attack rate is. What does that convert into? A mage? Not Staff of fear. So many layers now. I know, right? It's so deep and rich. Okay. I already got an idea for a crossbow. Okay. Okay. Alright. So we'll wait for these guys to recover. Meanwhile, don't tell Sun. We're hunting for bunnies. Because we need to procure a bunny hat for one of the rabbits. We need to find another rabbit. Because I imagine it wouldn't just take one. Yeah. Come on, rabbit. Where are you? I can kill them one at a time, but I'm not going to find them one at a time. That'll take too long. So instead, you just leave two alive and they propagate. They'll just hop around and be annoying though. But that's okay. I don't want to like constantly do the RNG off the packs. So I'm just gonna let them. They didn't know they can. Yeah, you just let them chill. They have to be outside though. You can't sit them in a animal pen. They don't propagate when they're in an animal pen. So you just babysit them. Oh, I'm out of space. Guess I can just get rid of these. Oh, I'm actually really out of space. I don't want to build any more like warehouses and stuff. Kind of very complacent. Just sell these. Okay. Whoops. All right. Although, wait, what is the health at? I could just keep trying to find a third one. If I find a third one, then that'll work. Stop it. Stop being annoying. Man. Stop. Stop. Ew, rats. What the heck? Have you played this game yourself? Bobby, it's pretty chill. Okay. Oh, we found a third one. All right. YOLO, right? One take. All planned. I'll get the hat from this. Oh my. All right. Well, I guess I don't need the rest of the rat. Oh, hey. It's really common. Well, here's me being safe and didn't even need RNG. All right, we put one on and then we got it. That's it. We got the rabbit hat. All right. Easy clap. I was being conservative because I don't like constantly opening packs. Takes a really long time. Sell some of these. There we go. How are we on food? Kinda okay. And alright. We're going back into portal. I think that's it. We just fight the Wicked Witch and that's it. That's it. And then I'll have some final thoughts about the game. Omelets so good. I used to do stews. Stews were pretty solid too. I did like the farm into the onion, carrots. The island is... I'm not the biggest fan of food spoilage. The island was like Monka. Freaking food spoilage. Too real. Oh, you mean IRL? Oh. Oh, you mean omelets? Listen. I could use an omelet right now. Alright. In the portals we go. Here we go. We just have to fight. Slap some ham in there. Cheese. Have you ever had Spam? You ever seared Spam and put it in an omelet? No? Okay. Go with that Monterey Jack cheese, man. Or pepper jack cheese. Alright. Wicked Witch. We're ready. Healthy and ready to battle. Seems okay. Still the same type of minions. Oh, Wizard Row. Wait. Item level 3. It's... Oh wait, I might have one. I just never constructed one, maybe. Wait. Kid. Did you just TikTok me? I mean, yeah, I guess he's a TikTok first. Did you just use King the way I think you used King? Oh no, it's something I picked up since I've been perusing trends on YouTube Shorts, which is an extension of TikToks, but no, you don't have to use TikTok. It's a lingo thing that's on TikTok. But it's just a trend among like influencers. When you call someone king. And I was curious if you were if you were with the times, hip with the times, using king in that manner. I guess that answers my question. You don't have to use TikTok to know it. Imagine being hip. Yeah, king, the only reason I said that was there are 2 or 3 influencers. There are 2 or 3 influencers that I don't use TikTok, but I've been perusing YouTube Shorts, and usually most of the TikToks are cross-posted onto YouTube Shorts, and a few of the influencers just refer to all the like cool kids King, or like they would talk to King, you know, like just a generic thing like yo bros or something. It's just a in place of it, but it's kind of humorous. It's a humorous coincidence that you use the word king. Yeah, that's how it works. It's a euphemism, like bruh. Only sometimes bruh is ambiguous nowadays, but you know, or buddy. Buddy now to the younger crowd sounds more condescending than it was back in the old days. You know, the older folks, people will use the word buddy a lot, or friend. Not in the same way we use friends now. Like the word friend is too complicated. Like it's very complicated now. And then buddy is too complicated now. Or guy. Guy is too complicated now. Or dude is too complicated now. So now a lot of those got replaced by other euphemisms. I called people king like 3 years ago. I guess I used it like homie. Yeah, it's not new. It's just something that I saw a few influencers use, and it was actually the dude's catchphrase, or one of the dude's catchphrase. So he didn't use bruh. He didn't use bruh, bro, my fellow subs, or anything like that. He used king. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So the downside is about king is I can probably see that it's gonna go the way of dude, bro, and buddy, because someone's gonna have an issue that kings are, you know, engendered. That's why all the other words kind of phased as well, because they got too complicated. Like in my generation, yeah, well, here's the thing, it's not that simple, obviously. When you use queen, it's no different from king. So queen will go the way of king and queen at the same time. It's not because there's a word for binary states. It's because it's a binary stated word. So queen doesn't resolve the problem. It also is gonna go the same way. That's why words have started changing over time. Like when I was younger, we used dude a lot. But dude, I just don't see that as a problem. You don't have to see it as a problem. You just have to understand it. Like, it's not a you problem, right? So you don't, well, that's kind of ironic because it is a you problem, but you don't have to see it. You just have to respect it, right? Unless, I mean, you can just choose to not care about it. That's fair too. So when you encounter someone who cares about it, then they won't care about you. Mutual, right? Mutual apathy. But it doesn't change it. Yeah. You know, and you're not gonna, and hopefully you're accepting that they don't respect you either. You know, that's the mutual, assured mutual ignorance, right? So if you don't care, they won't care about you either. Yeah. However, if you work professionally, if you think you're in a public eye and you want to be respected all around, then you do have to find ways of caring and respecting it. But what I'm saying is not what is right or wrong. What I'm saying is what's happening. So it's not a guessing game. It's what's happening or has happened. I look at it as whatever makes them happy, because I'm going to do whatever makes me happy. I'm gonna need a little bit more detail. It sounds like you just said you like being hot, but you don't like being hot. If you know what I mean. Like, reading that statement makes it sound like you like two things that are fundamentally at odds with each other. If you only do whatever makes you happy, if you're gonna do whatever makes you happy, then you're incapable of doing whatever makes other people happy. You can rely on coincidence, and luckily both the things are the same thing. That can happen. So like, just so coincidentally that what makes you happy also makes other people happy, which that's fair, but that's not something that's proactive. So like, you're not actually doing anything for them because you're doing whatever makes you happy, if you know what I mean. For example, like in contrast, I don't really care about if I'm happy with something. If they're happy, it makes me happy. So I like concern myself with other people. It's irrelevant how I feel about it. But if you care about what makes you happy, then you're less concerned with what makes other people happy, generally speaking. It's Bobby's approach as well. But are they really happy? Well, you don't concern yourself with the other people, so you wouldn't ask. Generally speaking, Bobby, you're a self-centered person, which is not a bad or a good thing. It's just how you want to live your life. So when you ask that question, I can't empathize with why you would ask that question, because I would remove all doubt and concern myself with him. You, on the other hand, would probably presume and start to question because you don't directly concern yourself with other people. That's how I would interpret it. I wouldn't ask that question. You make me feel so stupid. Like, if someone pronouns are them, whenever I'll say bro, because I call... That's fair. So, that's what happens, right? So when you call them bro, if they like it, they'll be happy and you'll be happy. That's kind of, you two are very similar that way. You and Bobby have a similar approach to people. In that situation, I don't know if I would start with anything. I guess I'd be the person listening first, but Spirit is on right now. I'm so tempted. Do you think I'll be Foxy, I have to ask you though. It's kind of a bittersweet game. Yeah, but you would say it first because that's how you would call everyone, right? I would too. But the thing is, it's not about what makes me happy. The only difference is that you are projecting what other people like around you. So you're hoping that you would tell someone, right? That if someone is offending you, you would tell them that you're offending you, just like you expect others would tell you the same thing, right? I don't make that assumption. There are going to be people you meet that won't tell you that you're offending them, and they will be passive aggressive to you. And that is of my concern. It is important to me that I can recognize passive aggressiveness and proactive people. It doesn't matter how I feel about being proactive or passive aggressive. I want myself to be educated to know and see those. It doesn't matter if I make the mistake. I don't feel any lesser of a person for calling someone a he, like Foxy, and then Foxy tells me that he rather go by she, so she is a she, for example. So it doesn't affect me at all because it's really getting the clarity. However, for you guys, you like to be surrounded by people similar to you, which is very appropriate, to be honest. 99%, yeah, so that's fair. So then what are your expectations of other people? Because the way you phrased it is that you expect others to be like you, if you know what I mean. And that's really fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You hang around with lights. It's just I'm very concerned. I like being concerned with other people. It doesn't feel exhausting to me. I actually love when people are different. The more different they are, the more I guess they're interesting. It's not to say that people who aren't different are boring. It's just there's more to discover, I suppose. It's like this one streamer I like to watch who calls everyone dude, but some people don't like it. Yeah, it's just what it is, right? I used to what was my pronoun? I used to use guy, and then people it started phasing. Like, words change over time, right? So after a while, it's like you're adapting. King, so far as I know, king is both. Like, you're just calling someone, like, you know, I have friends who don't mind being called a king. Like, they don't have to be male or female. They just, king is nice. Who doesn't want to be a ruler? You know, that kind of thing. But what I'm saying is those words are going to change again. Nowadays, I'm not sure what people... I use the word people a lot, like peeps. I just disagree on a fundamental level, but depending on the person, I'll still, if they respect me. Yeah, see, that's fair enough. That is a passive way. Well, I guess you're aware of all this because I feel like you have enough self-awareness to understand that that approach means that someone has to give to you before you give back. So why partake? Well, that's exactly the problem you have on your approach, right? You feel like, why partake in something that others have to willingly give you, but expecting others to give you when they have the same mentality as you do, neither will give first, because you're expecting someone to give you something before you partake in something. That someone must commit to you before you commit to them. That'll get you somewhere, I guess. I don't I share a contrasting viewpoint. So this is not to say you should like change your way of life or anything. As a contrast, for me, my respect is for you to lose it. It's for yours. It's your right to retain my respect. Respect is always given. It's how long you keep it. Is how I would contrast with you. It's not about if they give me respect to get the respect. Everyone has my respect until they don't. That's how I go about it. So every time when someone approaches, I'm fully committed. It's their choice if they want to retain it or not. And it'll be pretty obvious when they lose my respect. But it is for the other person to lose. Much like my commitment to others. Like, your ordering is probably the other way. I'm probably, from what you're saying now, you meant like it's not in that order. Yeah, it's unconditional. So mine is unconditional. So you're not the same as me, but you're very similar, I guess. You don't dislike, well, this has very little to do with disliking or liking someone. Respect, you can respect someone you don't like. At least personally. One that is deserving or quote retaining of respect doesn't have to be an emotional response. That's fair. So fundamentally, the three of us, I am the one that's not similar to you two. I see a human being. They deserve respect. That's it. It's a fundamental right that they have for me. It doesn't matter if humans are it's both. You're separating them, like one is required for the other. Like you're saying that you need to know someone in order to respect that they're human, and yet you're making statements about humans are emotional creatures, but you don't respect their emotions before you know them. And I disagree with everything is emotions. That's such an oversimplification. Well, I disagree, but I respect that you think everything is emotional. I fundamentally do not empathize with that at all. That everything is that simple. Or like it's all or none statements with you. I can't, that doesn't resonate with me. One way I would say that differs between us is look at the company that's around you. Like the people who talk to you, the type of people who talk to you, they're a projection of yourself, right? So if you ever feel unhappy with the state of individuals around you or people who interact with you, then we can always revisit this type of discussion. I personally am very happy with the people who trust me and the people who discuss with me things. But if you feel like it's a good lens into what kind of people are around you. So if you're around emotional people, everyone around you is polar opposite. Everyone? I find that really hard to believe, but I'll take your word for it. So you feel like everyone's polar opposite around you. I mean, are you talking about everyone who's mutually respectful or people who know you? Because both of you and Kid, both have conditionals with caring about people. They come with conditions. And I'm not entirely sure if the people you're talking about matches your conditions or not. No, I don't. We're fundamentally humans, so you don't really have to feel. I hope I'm not intentionally trying to make you feel uneducated. It's just yeah, like it's just I hope you guys are happy with like your company, right? For me, I'm just a little bit more sappy with the humans. Like I actually really do appreciate the idea when someone says they see humans with emotions, and they see humans who care, right? So that's great. However, sometimes when I hear someone say something but believe something else, I'm always curious how you resolve those differences, right? So, first, Bobby has said everything is emotions, and everyone around them is the polar opposite. If everyone has emotions, and most of the things you said is based on emotions, how is everyone around you polar opposites? I guess that's a little confusing to me. I don't quite understand what that means. Right? Okay. Are you just suggesting you're never sappy? Or you're never emotional? Alright. I suppose I'll have to believe you there. I can't really make any comments about that. But you're more practical than emotional? Okay, so you believe you're more practical than emotional, yet you have this outlook that everything is emotional, or everything involves emotions. In what way do you feel like you're practical if everything is emotions? Or unless you're talking about practical as in emotionally practical, which means that it's one and the same, they correlate with each other as opposed to inversely proportional with each other. So like what I mean is what you're doing practically is based on emotions. Everything correlates, then I don't see how you could ever be opposite of anyone. If you keep saying everything is everything, then there's no contrast between what you're saying. Your practical side is emotional. So how are you separating them? How can one be more practical than emotional if everything correlates? The more practical you become, the more emotional you become. Personally, like for me, just to give you an example, I guess, there are times when I state something and there's no consideration for the emotions. So I don't actually fundamentally believe everything correlates a lot of times. Like I could say, this game has 20 hours of playtime. I don't have any feelings about it. What I said just now. So that would mean that would suggest that those two things, not everything correlates. For me. But everything for you correlates. It seems like you take a holistic approach to a lot of things. So it's hard for me to understand how someone can be different from another person if everything is everything. It is an interesting thought, though. I'll have to think about being in your shoes, about how it's all connected. I think that's what you're saying, like all the things are connected. Someone who feel in if I believe it, anyways, if everything is connected, I can't see, at least I can't understand how people are different then. Like how you are different from the people around you if everything is connected. Wait. Alright, here it is. This is the last part. I think I just stun lock her. Oh wait. Never mind. Combat level 160. Does she do anything? She attacks. I like her more than she was still a regular old lady. Sorry, I like her more when she was still a regular old lady. That phrasing though. She wasn't as bad. I think the Kraken was worse. Maybe the demon was worse. Actually, one of my ninjas are about to go down. You believe in equivalent exchange? Are you white or red cards? I'm the white cards. So I have 4 mages and 3 ninjas. And the ninjas are like stun people. And mages are like sustain. You believe in equivalent exchange? I respect that. I feel like that's a very pragmatic way of thinking things. You know, about thinking the universe. Stuns are the goat, okay? Especially when they kill more targets, then all the ninjas can stun lock something. And stuns overlap. So you can renew a stun when they're still stunned in this game. So it's like easy mode, right? the less targets there are, the more the stun lock happens. So you just get 3 ninjas and they're just like chucking the stun lock. Like look at this chump. It's the little yellow bubble on top of the card that shows the stun meter. I think you are taking my words a lot deeper than I thought saying them. My ability to commit. No. I think you're good. You're good. I just like deep talking a lot, Bobby. My only goal in my only objective is to really understand, or try to understand anyways. And a lot of times it also means I don't understand a lot of things, right? Also, it is very tough when I can't emotionally empathize with a person either. So that whole like making kid feel uneducated and making you feel like you're talking at a different level, that's because I can't relate at all. And that's where the problem comes. A lot of times when I talk, I just keep going deeper and we just keep going deeper, but it's only because I'm trying to make up for my lack of empathy. I tend to feel like I talk a lot to try to get to the emotional state that someone else is. So it feels very cold and detached a lot of times. That's kind of funny that you say that, the book smart thing. Kid, let me give you a hot take. This is supposed to be funny, but I just find it very humorous. I don't know if people read books anymore. Like, I certainly don't read books. If you know what I mean. I know what you mean, but I'm gonna pull a dad joke here. I don't know if anyone reads books anymore. Oh yeah, that's fair. See, Foxy is book smarter than us. Wait, actually, I mean, you guys probably read mangas. I don't even read mangas anymore. So like, I read less books than Foxy. Secretly, Foxy's the book smartest, you know? I think this would be better with an example if you care to give one. Oh, about the empathy thing? I do have analogies. We could make it into an Osu analogy. I do a mean Osu analogy. I do like using that. Well, like knowing good words to use, and I read books. My friend's wife just published a book not too long ago, so I'm reading it. I have a question for you, kid. I know I'm being a contrarian right now. That's kind of like a TikTok YouTube word of the day, contrarians. But I don't want to sound too contrasting to you. However, since you guys are confused, right? Doesn't that mean I'm using 4 words? I know how this sounds, but if I'm very good with words, right? I would be able to use words that the two of you would be on the same page. Oh, I just realized that's a pun. I'm going with it. Like, we're not all on the same page. So, and I'm the one that's using words that are confusing people. So, I don't think they'd be considered good words. You feel me? You feel me, kid? You're not confused per se. All right. Just trying to tie everything together. Interesting. And gather your own thoughts. Okay. Let me know when you tie everything together, Bobby, because I think the point I was making for myself is I can't see it tied together. So it's very helpful that you can provide an example to me that ties everything together, because I don't believe, like, I'm having a hard time understanding how everything ties together. That's probably, and when Kid said the first statement he said about he cares about what makes other people happy because he cares about whatever makes him happy, that didn't tie together either, so I was a little confused. That's why I was expounding upon that too. When someone cares about what makes them, whatever makes them happy, it takes away from caring about others, about what makes them happy. They tend to be fundamentally a little bit like equivalent exchange, if you know what I mean. They're very equivalent exchange thing. When you have time to care about what makes you happy, you take away from what caring about what makes other people happy. So blending what Kit said earlier about equivalent exchange, some things are inversely correlated. When you focus on one thing, you kind of take away from the other, so it's a balance. And you kind of suggested that with being practical than emotional, as though they were inversely correlated. But a lot of the things you said suggest that people being practical are entirely emotional bound. So it's rare for someone to say something that discerns being pragmatic and emotional when everything is emotional to the person. Because we went from pronouns and respects to emotion, etc. Oh, it's all connected. The line of thought is all connected for sure, but the ideas are contradictory, I guess. They're like in contrast with each other, but the line of thought is related to each other. So what we started with, well, I guess I'm connecting the dots now with it. If I'm making someone feel unhappy because I'll feel bad for making them unhappy, that's fair. Yeah. If you're making someone unhappy, I'm not going with it because I'll feel bad for making them unhappy. Okay. It all started with Kid saying king, which wait. We can tie this all together, but it requires a diagram. First, Kids mentioned king, and I was talking about how interesting or coincidental that he was using a pronoun, basically a pronoun that what just happens to be used in the material that I'm saying. It's not suggesting it's popular or trending. It happens to be a term that I've encountered. So it's a funny coincidence. And then tied to the word king, I assumed, or I presumed, Kid was using it as a way to show endearment and elevation, which he confirms later. But the idea is I acted on that presumption and named other terms that had the same status that king had back in the day, the other pronouns. So like buddy, friend, dude, bro, they all matriculated and has changed over time. And I was looking forward to perhaps king, and then you suggested queen as well. Those two terms also have that element, right? But I'm not predicting the future. I'm just saying it shares very similar characteristics with the old ones. And then you mentioned like, oh yeah, well, you know, you don't really care about these things. And I'm like, that's fair, right? It doesn't really matter to you. You don't really agree. You disagree fundamentally is the phrase you said. And I'm like, yeah, that seems reasonable. It checks out that you don't care. So fundamentally, you often when people disagree about certain things, they don't care too much about it as well. It's not to say it's all the time. Some people disagree. Like I can disagree with you, but I absolutely do want to know why and how you disagree. However, later on revealing, you did say I was going in too deep, but it's because I care about your opinion. That's why I keep talking. I care. But you kind of checked out somewhere earlier, so I kind of misread that emotionally. And then a lot of time you started talking about how you behave around people, like, and I was just sharing that I did care that people use king now. I do care people use queen, but you disagree fundamentally with all the something that came before. I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like, you know, it makes sense that you wouldn't care. And then I used the word respect. So we characterize respect. Respect deals a level of caring. When you don't respect something, you inherently care less, a little less than something you would respect, right? But then it leads into Kid and you sharing how you treat other people or how you concern yourself with other people. And then you shared about your conditions, about how much you care. So the tying theme here is how much you care. That's all. I think I'll go with your majesty. Oh my freak. Here's the thing, Kid. Kings are rulers. They're leaders. And I'm very deficient at leading. Oh. Would a hybrid be queen? Queen? Oh yeah, and then, you know, Foxy will so it's funny because majesty is also an engendered pronoun, and then Foxy would naturally follow up with highness. What would I replace? What would be a neutral? Yeah, majesty is inherently male because of the long-standing tradition of nobility being led by a king. It's really funny because like this illustrates what I mean. Like it, and you're not you know what I mean. Like you and Foxy aren't gonna like duke it out right now. It's like, gosh darn it, like Foxy's gonna hunt you down, you know, like stalk you and make you feel bad or anything. I fundamentally, if I'm bold, I'm gonna be bold here. I don't think Foxy took it offensively. You know what I mean, Kid? So a lot of times what you feel, like if you feel bad for saying something that someone is correcting you, they might not feel bad. You know what I mean, Kid? So So what I'm suggesting in alternative contrasting perspective to how you do it. So when someone feels bad and you feel sad that you're making them feel bad, they might not actually feel bad because like you don't have to think about like if you feel sad because of that, they might not actually be as like Foxy wasn't even listening. Yeah. I I was sorry, I was speaking for you, Foxy, for a little bit. I was pretending like you were gonna throw down your gloves and like punch Kid in the face for saying majesty instead of highness, you know? Figuratively. Is highness gender neutral? No, it's often a little infeminine. But nowadays, I don't even know. I'm not entirely sure if either is. I haven't used those words in a long time. I haven't used nobility words in a long time. I don't know what you say instead. I don't know what the neutral fun word is. This is such a digression. Okay. Let's make it related to Stacklands. All right. Let's make this a Stackland. Do you think mage is gender neutral? This is such a weird topic to talk about. Some would say but what about that word? What about that word? Is that word, does that have a, you know, a legacy for being male related? You know what I mean? Well, let's relate it to this game. So this character is called Wicked Witch. Yeah, it's probably toxic masculinity is the legacy for that one. But let's think about Wicked Witch, right? Wicked Witch, it's an old lady that becomes the Wicked Witch. There you go. We related back to Stacklands. So here's another fun one. Here's a fun one that I can bring up. Ninja. So you see in Japanese, ninja actually has two counterparts. I mean, outside of the neutral word shinobi or something. But actually Foxy could probably have more commentary on this. Like in the word, you know, the English speaking word ninja, right? The way we're using it, ninja, it often gives you an image of a male character. But it doesn't actually imply any of that. We engendered the word. Like, what would you call a female ninja in English? But in Japanese, there are actually words for those. Yeah, a ninja. Yeah, exactly. I, you know, you got me. You guys got me. You know exactly what I mean about pronouns when it comes to ninjas. Mages? I think mages are neutral in fantasy. I think mages are neutral. Not warlocks and sorcerers though. Like sorcerers and warlocks are kind of iffy. Sorceress and yeah, warlocks and witches are like sorcerers, there are sorceress. So what else we got? Oh, there are some deep cuts. You want to hear a deep cut? You guys ready for a deep cut? Like high fantasy, low fantasy word? I don't know how deep this is gonna go with you guys if you guys are into this kind of stuff. The word dwarves. I'll let you guys stoop on that for a little bit because it's actually one of the conversations my friend and I had about the recent Ring of Powers, like the Lord of the Rings Ring of Powers. But dwarves. I'll let you guys think about how could that be a deep cut, or what I'm alluding to. Dwarves. Oh, another one. Oh, a deep cut is wait, am I too hip now? Wait. Wait. Am I too hip for using the phrase deep cut, or is that a boomer phrase now? So, you know how you have a you know how entertainment, there are cuts, right? Like, oh, there's a scene and then it's a cut of a scene, right? Like what type of version the scene is. The Snyder cut, the whatever, the Kevin Foggy cut of a movie, right? The deep cut is kind of relevant to that. Basically, it's like, oh, this goes hard, it goes deep, like you have to dig deeper. This is supposed to be a trick, like that kind of thing. I don't know if that phrase is old now. I feel like a deep cut is still... Are you blowing my mind? Am I the boomer here? Do people not use the word deep cut anymore? The phrase deep cut? Oh, here, like for example, what's a deep cut for Osu players? A deep cut for Osu players is like that time when you wake up and your hands just don't want to cooperate. It's like you really want to play Osu, but it seems like your hands has fallen asleep on you. That's a deep cut. But the only reason it's deep is only if you played Osu long enough to understand that sentiment. Most of those are deep cuts. So the phrases that you can say where there won't be an appreciation for it unless you did it for a very long time. 40 years ago, asked if he's a boo. So dwarves, we were talking about pronouns, right? Like, just technically, I guess dwarves can be considered a proper noun since it's the name of a race, but anyways, dwarves has a deep cut right now. And it has something to do with gender, so it's a pretty deep cut. And it really just, it's simple on the surface, but it's also deep if you're into fantasy. If you're like super into fantasy, like you like playing, I don't know, not Dark Souls. I don't think there are dwarves. And wait, are there dwarves in Dark Souls? But we're talking more like Final Fantasy and Lord of the Rings and like all the higher fantasy stuff that has elves and dwarves in it. Oh, you play D&D? Oh, okay. Then you know what I mean, kid. Dwarves. How deep can that go? I mean, I'm making a huge pun here as well because dwarves are minors and they go deep. They go pretty deep. They're short, but they go really deep. I'm gonna dad joke all over this dwarves thing for sure. How deep does the rabbit hole go? Listen, it goes so deep, even rabbits aren't. You can't even find rabbits in there. Alright, I'm just gonna lift it up. Dwarves, what are female dwarves? Let's think about it for a moment. If you're into D&D and fantasy, how do people feel about female dwarves? And what do we call them? Dwarves. But you see, That's what kid. That's it. Like kid is deep cutting now. There are none. So, well, due to some recent developments, there are female dwarves, just not to the it's a deep cut. Yeah, that's deep. Well, we defeated the Wicked Witch. Like, for example, there had to be female dwarves. Well, okay. Well, you see, Bobby, that's where the deep cut comes in. Kid will know. He's really into D&D, so he'll be able to like totally go deep into how dwarves actually get brought to life. It's kind of like, are elementals male or female? Like, are there male or female elementals? There are elementals. That's like, how does lightning come into being? It's just lightning. So dwarves have that historical legacy, and there's an actual explanation to how dwarves are brought into the fantasy world. So since we're talking about fantasy, we're not talking about reality or like what we understand about the reality we live in. So the way they propagate is not, they're not human, they're non-human. So there was a lot of contention with this, and there were some female dwarves showcased recently. So yeah. Deep cut. You can continue fighting for more resources. What the heck? Why would I want to keep fighting for more? But it does go back to all of this. Even Stacklands is imbued with it. But you know what Stacklands did to avoid all this? Look at their drawings, dude. See? Can you tell? You can't tell, right? It's very neutral. I like it. And it's very cute. I would love to create something like... Why don't you say that my friend is playing a dwarf and he's trying to enchant his sword with a fire elemental heart? What the freak? Listen. We live in a time where we use gender modifiers for engendered words. I'll give you an example. A male nurse. A female warlock. A female dwarf. So I would love to just sit around a round table and just watch 6 people. Did you like the male nurse thing? I threw that in just so that I can ground it in reality and then pivot to fantasy. Because it already exists. It's not like this is new. It's just a lot more apparent. Is it not just because those are all rare? A male nurse is rare? I guess. Maybe. Well, if female dwarves need to exist to reproduce, wouldn't that make them less rare? They are rare in occurrence, as in like figuratively, like the idea of them are rare because they're newer ideas, right? There are a lot more male nurses than you... Yeah, there are a lot of male nurses. It's just people didn't... For a while, it didn't feel needed to highlight that. But, you know, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, there are male waiters? Like, well, yeah. You go to a restaurant, there's a chance you're gonna get a male waiter too. Like back in the day, you know, you think about these things. I chose male versions of stuff because there was a time when it was just males, but they still do female. Like, for example, males that play female roles. That one isn't the same. It is, sort of. But I don't know if I'm going to go into another deep cut about it. So it deals with the creation of the idea, right? I know, I know it is for you, but it is very similar. And I don't think any two things are the same, Bobby. Like, just to clarify, whenever someone says something is the same, I assume they mean identical. And more or less, there aren't any two concepts in this known universe that are the same, like identical. So I will most likely say that I disagree when someone says something is the same, because it's very, and it's not sexist at all. It's just the nature of it. The fact that men are stronger than women isn't sexist. Okay. I know this is gonna sound really, I'm just gonna make this more complicated, but I'm sorry. This is the fact is men are stronger than women. Whether it's sexist or not is a subjective phrase interpreting that fact. So yes, your statement kind of sort of checks out, but they're not related. I know you have a habit of connecting all the things, but they're not related. One is an interpretation and one is a fact. There's no facts can be interpreted as sexist or not. It's just the fact will never change. Men are statistically, in many ways, and lots of converging evidence, they are physically, have physical characteristics that are stronger than females. But whether it's sexist or not is up to the person interpreting the facts. Kind of like how the internet interprets facts most of the time. It's very, or at least I encourage people to separate interpretation from facts. There's no denying that the fact is that. It can still be sexist based on the person interpreting the fact. Because interpretations are subjective. Facts are objective. So they are void of any, things. So it's kind of like how you're saying most things are emotional. The fact is, there are things that happen that are void of emotions, but you can interpret it that as being dealing with emotions because it's an interpretation. Like, for an example, a bomb exploding is void of emotions, but interpreting the intent of the bomb exploding is emotional because someone used the tool. The tool itself, for a fact, will be always void of emotions. But how that tool is being used is an interpretation of its emotions. Oh, you didn't want to say, yeah, no, that's fine. We're all understanding people here. But they lift people from stretchers to beds if you're a heavier set person. Wait. Not to sound sexist, but they lift people from stretcher to bed if you're a heavier set person. Kid, I need more context. I'm a little confused. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Yeah, the male nurses, yeah. So how is the statement, like, I know you just said you don't mean to sound sexist, but I don't know what the thing afterwards have to do with sexism. So you're good, right? I don't think you sound sexist because I don't know if that statement, the following statement, could be I'm trying to interpret it as how it could be taken as sexist. They live people from stretchers to bed if you're a heavier set person. Oh, kid, you're adorable. And in a way, I didn't mean that to sound condescending. I think it's very endearing. Someone could easily be offended. I'm gonna be okay. I have to say this. This is worth. Why can't a woman lift a heavy person? Yeah, that's. I'm guessing that's where it was coming from, but what kid said, like those specific words, I'm like, so are you talking about um a really strong person lifting a really heavy person? But there's implied gender in there. So you're talking about females who lift either a very heavy male or female, or you're talking about males lifting either or a very heavy male or female. So I understood where, but the words you specifically said, I'm like, you can't, you're not sexist in that wording. Like you covered your bases, so that's ironic. It's very ironic because a lot of times when someone says, oh, I don't mean to offend, and the phrase they say is offensive, but the way you worded it would be someone who's very careful not to offend anyone. So you didn't even have to say not sound sexist. You could just say they lift people from stretchers to beds if you're a heavier set person. Wait, I think you are saying that I think everything is which is untrue, but things surrounding humans are emotional. A bomb exploding, of course, isn't emotional, but the human that set it off was Yes, that's what I'm saying. You're saying, which I think we're on the same page. I'm not actually saying everything is emotion. I'm just saying you said that, and I don't think you mean it. In the same way, you know what I mean? Like you wanted to, you said those words, but I don't think you mean literally everything is emotional. Like like in that simplified way. I think you were trying to say like you like to interpret things as emotional things, which is very valid, and it corresponds with everything else, right? That we spoke about right now. And for me, they're like they can be mutually exclusive. Like I can state facts, but I wouldn't share my opinion, for example. So it sometimes when someone asks me, how's the weather like? It's 74 degrees Fahrenheit. There's no like there's nothing else. That's just it. It's 74. I didn't express anything. I didn't express whether that's warm, whether that's cold, whether I like it, or whether not. All my first thought is it's 74 degrees Fahrenheit. no, like no motivation whatsoever. Just how's the weather? It's raining. A long story about that, but well, you give express brevity by giving a condensed explanation. That okay. I'm not gonna. This is being a contrarian now. I'm actually visibly thinking. This is where we differ. This is where we differ. You're projecting what my brevity means. I saying 74 degrees Fahrenheit specifically means a lot of things to me. But since you're trying to interpret based on how you would interpret me being very concise and, you know, just very less verbose, that there's a meaning to it. And your meaning is that I have the intent of being very concise. But when I said 74 degrees Fahrenheit, it was because it was a deep cut. Josh is learning. But um but for that, I should be compassionate enough to understand that you could interpret it that way. So for example, Osu, right? I got an Osu one for you guys. I know you guys love this one. And this kind of illustrates maybe that Bobby, you Bobby and Kid, you guys are more in line with the, like, you're more empathetic to the Osu community. It's a shame you can't get rid of pre-roll ads. Makes it okay. Kid, I have a problem. I have a problem with that. There's this other kid named Josh that's gonna create, and also, just so you know, Bobby shares a name with another person, so I'm also just using Bobby to you guys, your names. Kid, don't you know Josh? You know the other kid named Josh? Yeah, Bobby is NA Justin. And then there's EU Justin. Yeah. So yeah, Josh, yeah. And his name is actually Josh too. anyways, I'll call you So do you want to be Josh 1 or Josh 2? Actually, I guess he's gonna be Hong Kong Josh and you're like not Hong Kong Josh. I would just say Joshing and Josh in that scenario. Yeah, but I'm a lazy person, Bobby. Kind of just want to say one syllable. That's why I call him the kid, you know? Oh wait, I just added the there. He's in Hong Kong, so I won't be here when he's... Oh yeah, that's fair. Except for that one time he was with Sun and you were with Sun at the same... I don't know how you guys overlapped that day, but yeah. Sometimes. Okay, here's the deep cut. You're ready for it? I got an example of express brevity by having a condensed explanation, that type of mentality. It's very in the Osu community, and I think the two of you blend in a lot better with the Osu community than I do. Get good. Actually, no, that's not the Osu. I just wanted to say that for a little bit. Play more. That phrase, play more. To me, it's an extremely deep cut. Like, absolute deep cut. That thing is so weighty, that phrase. But a lot of times, most people would probably interpret it as, yeah, all right. It's true, kind of thing. Like, well, yeah, it's true, you know? But my point is that two humans conversing will contain emotion even when stating a fact. I disagree, but I totally understand where you're coming from. So what you're saying is, most of your life you're not a pragmatic person. That's as well. Like when you say, so I don't understand the phrase. Let's take it back to when you said you're more practical than emotional. How does that coincide with what you're saying now? Because emotional and practical deals with frequency, right? So since you can't believe that someone can state a fact without being tied to emotions, Does that exclude you, or it doesn't exclude you? That you are also entirely always emotional when you state things. Yeah, but very vague things like, how do I get better? Yeah, just play more. But yes, those are the deep cuts. How do I get better at long stream, or have a TV side show? How do I get better at streams? Then you get actual advice. Probably a little bit more. Yeah, you're more likely, right? I agree. So if you're comparing apples and apples, right? The first phrase is part of the second phrase. So the second phrase includes more specificity. So the probability of getting more advice, or getting actual advice, or advice that you deem actual, you're more likely with the second phrase. Yes, because it narrows the pool of response. So then you don't get into the deep cut territory. The less deep cut your question is, the more likely someone will provide a very specific answer. So if I were to go back to something Bobby said, when he says everything is something, that's a deep cut, and I can't agree with it. Like, I'm unable to agree with it because I think of the exceptions. When he says certain things are correlated, then I'm more compelled to agree because it's harder to find exceptions. It's a smaller pool. So a lot of times when all the examples you guys choose, it's very inclusive. There's a lot of inclusive things, and I think of exceptions because I'm a contrarian by nature. I do enjoy being a contrarian. The word contrarian has grown on me because it's more of an endearing word now as opposed to being argumentative. Argumentative would suggest, which Bobby's gonna hate me for this, argumentative would suggest being emotionally bound to be contradictory. A contrarian is more of a neutral word that's void of emotions at the moment. But Bobby doesn't believe that one can have discussions that are minimal in emotional impact. And we're not talking about void completely. We're talking about spectrum, just like Bobby illustrates that he can be more pragmatic or practical than emotional. And adhering to that, we're not talking about binary things. So it's not everything, it's some things. It's not nothing, it's some things. It's not always or never. It's sometimes or most of the time or a frequency of time. And it's a balance. It's a compromise of two contrasting elements. When you care about something, you have less time devoted to caring about yourself. If you care about yourself, you have less time caring about other things. But it's not you always care about yourself and therefore you don't care about anything else. I think what I learned today is that is just to not type such words. I think you can type words. I think it's so I'm so sorry, Bobby. Well, okay. If you don't, okay, so you might think that I just spent a lot of time saying I'm very detached with my emotions. I'm saying I'm sorry because it's an appropriate way to say it. But for the sake of for the sake of the discussion, I hope that I didn't give you that impression that you should not never type certain words and always consider other things, kind of thing. It's just sometimes as long as you know what the frequency of reception is, right? So when someone says, I never am going to like Osu, it's a little bit less likely to create discussion than for example, I currently dislike Osu. So it leaves a realm of possibility that someone could discuss with you certain things. I don't think I will like OC. Yeah, that's fair too. That's future telling. That's a little bit. That's like my example, but it's probably a little lower in frequency because then you're making the prediction, and someone would probably it will eliminate all the people who ask you, how do you know that? So the thing I said was, I currently don't like Osu because you know for sure what you currently feel. However, when you phrase it in the future tense, there's a chance someone would be more interested in asking how you know that, and it would start questioning you as opposed to having a discussion about it. Like experience before predictions kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna suck at this game. How do you know? And then it'll go into the discussion about how you know you're gonna suck at this game. But it's never gonna determine. It's not gonna be able to determine if you're gonna play the game in the first place. For example, like a kid can never be good at Osu because he has physical limitations. That discussion is less likely to have anyone sharing advice than a kid saying, oh, I have these physical limitations, and right now I feel I'm limited by them. That leaves the future up for interpretation so that some people could just like share that. So how much will this lesson cost? I don't even tell people to play more. I tell people, play things you're not good at because you're only as good as your weakest skill. Oh, that's fair. That's a cogent point. So you want to hear the deep cut of this? I mean, I don't play OC enough to really validate this stuff, but I could logic another thing from that. So instead of so what you're phrasing makes it sound negative, right? This is just an alternative. You could be talking to someone who's more receptive to negative responses. So you're telling someone that play something they think they're not good at because you're only as good as your weakest skill. How to turn that around, like how to make that more proactive. Like if you're trying to encourage someone, I would be less likely to use it in that way. You could alternatively say, you could try playing something you don't think you're proficient at because the weakest skill you have the most to gain in a shorter amount of time, usually. So like the weakest means you can improve the most from the weakest. So then it'd be like, oh yeah, right. So I'll just play something and then the next day they just improve. They're more focused on not being capped by their weakest skill. They're just focused on what they can gain from playing their weakest skill. Kind of thing. So like if you were being a motivational person, right? If you wanted, but that's not the point, right? Like a lot of times we talk about I talk about this a lot, man. I don't know where this I finished the game, by the way, guys. Or at least all the content. But a lot of times I myself practice this. I openly practice how to rephrase something in a positive way. Mind you, this is only gambling. People in general are more likely to be receptive to proactive statements than deterministic statements. However, it's not to say that everyone is gonna appreciate it. There's just more likely to appreciate it. So for example, saying that you are only as good as your weakest skill, that's deterministic. So it means you can never change this. This person can never change being capped by their weakest skill. But the way I phrased it, they're not focused on what's capping them. They're only focusing on what potentially limitless improvement they can have. So it's directing away from the idea that they feel weak in something. It only focuses on what they can gain, which is what happens. And that's why first time chat they say how to get better. They don't go. I don't think that's it. It's there is a little, you know, obvious. The more likely case. I'm not saying that's not why that person never came back, but I'm saying another alternative is that that person just wanted to say hi. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the nature, it's the belly of the beast, right? But you know, no, what I understand you're like messing. Well, they're all true. Like all the stuff. It might be a combination of all of them. You know, they're not like mutually exclusive. It's just you take in all the possibilities, right? And that makes you more comfortable. The more ways you can explain something, the more you can prioritize what is going on. How do we read? How do I talk to Bobby when I share little to no fundamental agreements with him? Well, I mean, we just spent like 40 minutes talking about a statement, talking about statements that we fundamentally don't agree with each other, and we can still talk about it, right? So that's kind of the goal. It's not to hurt people's feelings, I guess. I don't want to hurt your feelers. Okay, wait. I do have to do something because, man, most of the conversation was not about this game. But this game, I don't know if you guys played this game. If you guys want to play a casual game that is like what do I call it? Resource management with some light fantasy, this game is amazing. And the devs still support it. The thing that I just did was like a Halloween update, maybe. It was around Halloween time. So they're still supporting this game. The devs make a lot of like small versions of various popular genre, but this one stuck. Like this was their most successful. They made like thousands of games. I'm telling you, they publish like thousands of games. And it's basically like how to make a Souls game, but make it as simple as possible. And then that's it. It's for the casual player. So this is a simple version of, if you like Forest, Ark, without the PvP, Valheim, and how could it be made simpler into like just a solitaire situation? It's this game, you know? Yeah, so like if any of the context of collecting materials and then exploring and then getting more materials and getting more recipes and more recipes like Minecraft, Terraria, and stuff, this publisher, like this developer, likes to make the most simplified version of that, and that's what this is. So the nice thing about the game like this is it's modular. Is modular in a way that they can keep introducing new maps, quote unquote maps, and new recipes and how they interact. This is one board. They introduced the island on the next update, so you have to get on a ship and build a second base on an island. An island comes with some other different conditionals. And then the most recent one is the portal, which leads you to that roguelike farm horde mode thing. So if I had to take a guess, they're gonna adapt another like modular thing. Another modular thing they could probably introduce is a boon system with a roguelike aspect. They have the makings of it already with stable portal, but they could expand on it. So what you do is you spend you macro the resources, raise your villagers, equip them, and then you send them through the portal, and the portal will act as its own wave counter and record keeping, and you would introduce boons and stuff in between each wave and encounter so that it creates the roguelike aspect of it. So this game is very modular, so it has a lot of potential, and it's cheap as heck on sales day. Actually, most of the games are cheap as heck, but it's very casual. It's a wonderful game. And I should have said all that while I was capturing a moment. So let's create a moment, because I think, quote unquote, I'm ready to review this game. So let's create a moment. I don't know if you guys have access to this. Recently, Twitch have tried to introduce new features. And now you have a feature called a moment. So it's basically just clipping, but it's for the streamer, the content creator, to create the moment. And the moment, when you watch the moment, it gives whoever was part of that moment the badge, basically. So let me summarize my thoughts. Okay, I gotta do a hot take. You only have 30 seconds to do this. All right. Besides our gigantic digression about pronouns and all that stuff today, it was gonna be a short day today. Anyways. All right, so let's create this moment. All right, just completed, right? The most recent update. This game is still continuously being updated, but I would say if you like survival, resource collection, base building, and then just like a small set of micros for like econ and whatnot, this game, you really give the game a shot. It's wonderful. I would say 9 out of 10, easily 9 out of 10 for what it is. And yeah, that's the remark for it. It's a really good game. What do I do with resources? You consume them. So that was the moment. The moment's only like a 60-second clip. But so resources, right? You feed resources into other things. So if you ever played a like Factorio or like a Sims game or something, you can first you collect resources. So these are resources. And then resources lead to buildings, which are pink. And buildings are permanent resources. Locations, and those resources get refined into future buildings. Like you can convert them into like you convert wood into planks using a sawmill, for example. And at first you do all manual labor. All your characters convert the stuff slowly, but then it becomes buildings, and then initially you would forage for things, but then you build farms, and then you collect the resources to make the farm work, and they always stack next to each other. So here's like animal pens. I found chickens from your packs. So up here are all your packs. You get money to buy packs to get certain raw resources, like animals. So I put these aminals in animal pens, right? And they produce eggs. Eggs which then can be placed into stoves to create omelets. And the value of the food system goes up. Like eggs, you can't eat them. They don't provide any food sources, so you convert them. And that's why it's structured this way too. It also gives you that satisfaction of building games where you have a well-oiled machine. So like these chickens, eggs are gonna pop out of here, but this stack, right? This stack is next to the chickens, so the eggs would just pop out and stack on here. And then I pull these eggs down into the stoves, which then each of the stoves will produce omelets, which would stack onto the stack of omelets, which then is used to feed the villagers at the end of each day. And then there's, other things where like a gold mine produces gold ore or stone, so I have them next to it, and then each gold ore can be combined with a wood in a smelter to make gold bars. And then these gold bars can then be consumed in like a smithy to produce advanced weapons, something. And all this game, it's super casual, so you don't have to memorize any of these things. This game is a checklist game. So any recipes you find are all detailed. Like specifically, it's not a test of memory, or like it's not supposed to be very urgent. Like telling you like get good, right? This is supposed to be a very relaxing game. The nature of this type of game is it shows you what the foundations, like if you're into game theory, about what are the fundamentals, like Osu, there are fundamentals, right? If someone asked you what are the fundamental building blocks of Osu standard, for example, you could represent it as a card game. It is possible. Well, that's why I like card games quite a bit. It takes away a lot of the dressing and gives you like a snapshot of what you're actually doing in like games like Valheim and the games that have somewhat pretty graphics and 3D camera. You're effectively doing this. This is where it started, and that's why I like tabletop games. Tabletop games are where it all started. Like paper, pencil, they build up to what we have now in the digital world. Yeah, and this is just a slice of it. Valheim, this is a slice of Valheim. It's not, you don't have to worry about like getting lost and stuff. It does take that out. It boils a lot of the perspective shifts and whatnot in it. And so the fundamentals of what makes Valheim so addicting, like finding a new boss, finding a new resource, hoarding that new resource, and then getting it, and it's like, oh, it's so hard to get that resource, but now I can build something to make that getting that resource even easier. Then you constantly get more efficient, then your characters constantly get more efficient. That's pretty much what this game is trying to capture. It's capturing the sandbox crafting survival game. And Steam, like, I don't know if you buy games or how you play games, but it's near the end of the year, near the end of the calendar year. This game is probably $2 by then. Like it'll be on sale for $2. So, oh yeah, you can sell. Oh, and you played Rust without PvP. The PvP is just the PvE section where like it puts a little pressure on you by saying like, oh, it's a wave. Have you heard of 7 Days to Die? It's kind of the quote unquote the only pressure in the game is like 7 Days to Die, where like your base will get challenged, but it's a very light challenge. But everything else is the lore, the attraction of the game is to build your home. This is your home. Like everything's organized. Like I have an animal pen over here with 5 cows that have milk, that produces milk on this stack, which I can move this stack to the mess hall so that we can prioritize consuming the milk. Well, that's it.